Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to our soul chat session. Whew, this week was different. I went through a lot of emotions in this week and they were heavy. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you, they were heavy. I had to literally talk myself down from hiding emotions and do a lot of breath work, a lot of grounding. And you know, personally in my life, a lot of what I have been dealing with is being in uncertainty, like not really understanding. I don't know how y'all feel right now. You can let me know down in the comments, but life has been feeling so strange, and I have been trying to process it and not make it to be that something bad is happening or that, I'm stuck or anything like that, because that's not necessarily the case. However, I don't feel like the same person anymore. And that is part of what is scaring me. Because the old me had certain routines, had certain things that I was doing, and I was okay with those things. They become comfortable. Now, the things that I used to do, I'm not necessarily interested in. I'm not even in a position where my life is requiring or calling for those things. It's almost as if all of those things that I was doing at one point in my life, they are completely being removed from my life. And also, even when I try to go and knock on the doors to be like, okay, well, let me just find something to do or something to connect with, it's like I'm blocked from those doors. So I've been in this space of my life where I've been feeling very confused. And so that led me to start feeling like, okay, what is it that I'm not figuring out? Why is it being so hard for me to kind of determine what path I'm about to take, what path we're actually on? Why is it so hard for me to identify with what I even got going on? And so it really made my heart go out to a lot of people in the world, because I think in this time, a lot of people really don't have it figured out. And by figured out, I'm simply speaking to feeling like you know where your life is headed and what what you're doing. I had a lot of moments in this week where I was just asking myself, like, what am I even doing? Like, what's going on? What's coming out of this? Like, what direction am I being pulled to? Because everything, like I was saying, in my life right now feels like I'm in the same body, but I'm living a completely different life, right? So if you are in a space where you are confused or you are wondering what's happening, you're not alone. And those spaces can make you feel very isolated, very, I don't know, just off. And even in those spaces though, we have to remember that it doesn't mean that we're not doing what we need to do. Sometimes there are shifts that happen unexpectedly in our lives to push us into certain directions. I understand that I'm going through a very huge redirect, and it can cause emotions and feelings of just being completely uncomfortable, because as humans, we just really like to be able to control what's going on in our life, have an understanding, at least, even if you can't control it, we at least want to have an understanding of what's going on. And even in my own life right now, I don't have an understanding of what's going on. I'm leaning back to things that my spirit downloaded years ago about this particular year. And it's like when I got the download at the time, I was thinking that it meant one thing. And then now that I'm actually walking and experiencing what my spirit was able to see, I am experiencing completely different from what I thought that it was. And so I have been having to consistently work at my mind, keeping my mind grounded, keeping myself in a place where I'm not spiraling, recognizing that I am healing, even when you are walking on a path to changing things in your life and walking on a path of really getting to know yourself. You're gonna go through ups and downs emotionally, mentally, like vibrationally. Your body is gonna hit highs and lows because there's a lot of releasing that is happening. There is a lot of disconnection from old beliefs, from old patterns, habits that is happening, and it can just cause like a glitch, for better term of words, in the body. And I ain't gonna lie, I've been feeling them glitches. I've been feeling those glitches. So one thing that I had to do to really pull myself back in this week is really ask myself, okay, you're feeling a fog of emotions. And those fog of emotions, first of all, before I tell you that, those fog of emotions had me feeling like I've done something wrong, or I have taken a wrong step, or like it had me questioning, why is it so hard for me to understand what's next for me? Like, why is it so hard for me to know what direction that I'm taking? Why does fear keep trying to creep up inside of me when it's time for me to make certain pivots? And the fear really was coming from just not knowing what direction to go. I'm a completely different person. I understand that I'm walking in a completely new identity, and that is not something that is as easy as I thought that it would be. I thought when you get into a new identity, you automatically just start operating as that person, but there's going to be a tug of war between the old you and the new you in that process. And that tug of war, if you're not careful, you can self-sabotage yourself right back into old habits and old thinking and old patterns. So that is absolutely not what I want to be doing. I am so intentional about the next steps in my life, and I became a little too intentional because I started isolating myself and really being afraid to make any steps and move until I had confirmation. And I had to ask myself, are you actively working on the inner work as well as actively working to make the changes in your life? And I'm like, okay, so I am. So then now I have to speak to myself and be like, well, what you afraid of then? If you are actively working, there is no right, there is no wrong. There's only going to be either a reroute in direction, or there's going to be clarity in the direction. And I had to really embrace that thought and let myself know that we cannot be afraid walking this path and walking into whatever it is that we are about to go into. You can't be afraid of it. You have to walk with it with certainty in yourself, learning to trust yourself. So even in the process of me switching identities and becoming this brand new person that I'm even starting to get to know now, I've really had to hone in on trusting myself. Overthinking has been one of the enemies that has tried to take over my body in this moment. And I'm just like, what path am I taking? What path am I taking? And then but what if this and what if that and what if that? And I'm like, girl, you gotta trust yourself. You are gonna have to trust yourself. You are just gonna have to cast your net out here, however many nets you have to cast, see which one is gonna bite. But at the end of the day, just trust yourself. Just do the actions, just push forward, boom. And so once I understood, like, okay, I am moving or I am working towards the best parts of myself, there's really nothing to be afraid of. And so I really sat with myself and I'm like, okay, let me figure out what my life has been asking of me on a repeated theme throughout this process, so that I can focus and make sure that I'm connecting with what everything and all the forces around me are asking me to really shape in this season. And one of those things was I needed to trust myself before I had proof. And that's a big deal right now. Trusting myself before I have the proof. I don't know, you could tell me in the comments about how this has been for you. Have you been finding yourself in situations where you are literally having to trust yourself without seeing what it is that yourself is calling you to? So I came to that conclusion because the overthinking has been crazy, okay? So I'm like, you can't keep overthinking yourself. You cannot keep finding yourself spiraling and not making certain decisions, or spiraling so much until you're too exhausted to make decisions. So what is it about myself, or what is it about me and my energy that I need to learn to lean into and learn to trust before I have proof? And what does proof mean to me? Why do I need proof so much before I can trust myself? These are some of the shadow journal prompts that I've been working with myself, just to be able to get it all on the flow, put it on the flow, basically. And another thing that this season had been teaching me was stop measuring my progress by visual outcomes. My past self, always made moves because it was visually clear. Like, I got the green light to go. So I'm like, oh, well, I can't turn this down because I gotta go. This identity and this season of myself, I'm not getting green lights. I'm getting more of intuitive hits on what it is that I need to do, how I need to pivot, how I need to move. And that is where I start to like struggle to move a little bit, because I'm like, well, what if this and what if that? And I'm like, no, you gotta start measuring everything that you do by what you can see. And that is something that I'm working on. Like, just get out there, do the thing, let the thing go. Don't be looking at outcomes. Don't be, and this can happen in so many different ways. Like, I look at outcomes as far as how a person responds to me. What was their body language? I look at outcomes like my views here, like what's going on here. Also, outcomes with, everybody knows I'm in a job search, trying to figure out, checking their email, what's going on. And I can sometimes get caught into measuring how my efforts are actually lining up based upon what is visually being shown to me. But I'm understanding that this time that we're living in, that's why things feel so weird and strange, is a lot is happening in the unseen realms, and I have to be okay with it. I have to learn to understand that even though I cannot see, and even though I desire so badly to kind of see just for my own confirmation that I'm not going to be able to operate in that style anymore. I'm going to really and truly have to start learning what it means to trust yourself and know that the internal, like when they say everything is on the inside of you before it comes out, trust what you're being told and what you're being led on the inside, and make those steps in the direction that you need to, just based off of understanding that. So that was our soul chat of the week. I just really wanted to talk about where I was, and I hope it resonated with you. I hope I connected with you in some way. I know that we're all living different lives, and things right now have been interesting, to say the most. But just let me know down in the comments how your life's been. What has life been presenting you with lately? And don't forget to check out Soul Said So podcast, where I talk more about these things, more from a perspective of on how to navigate and help you. These soul chats are definitely going to be just whatever comes into my spirit that I've been dealing with, that I would like to share with you, and we're going to converse on it. But until next time.